Hello everybody, hopefully you're having a wonderful day, and this is lesson, my L looked kind of weird this time, number 21. We've reached 21, my friends, so this is lesson number 21, and today we're gonna be clapping out notes again, part 4. And I say clapping out, but I don't clap. I play on the piano. I play one key on the piano, just because a clap is not really sustained. So I found that to be more useful, clapping out notes. Though for some reason I still insist on calling it clapping out notes. Anyways, so in the previous lessons we've talked about how to read and how to understand the whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. All were written in the 4/4 time signature and only the 4/4 time signature. So we learned how to read all these only in the 4/4 time signature. Now today we're also going to be expanding to the 3/4 and the 2/4. And together, 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, these are often called the simple time signatures. Now I don't want to get into simple time signatures, complex time, compound time signatures, simple tuple, compound trip, or all that stuff. I don't want to get into it here, but it's just good to know for you for right now. It's a good to know fact that these three are called simple time signatures. But regardless, and these are quite often seen in music. These are probably some of the most often seen time signatures in music, that being 3/4, 2/4, and 4/4. And you'll notice that I briefly mentioned this in my last video, but these all have the bottom number being 4. So 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And the system we had learnt last time for how many counts each note was, that means that a quarter note was 1 count, right? And a half note was 2 counts, and so on and so forth, actually applies for all of these, and it applies for all time signatures which have a 4 in the bottom. Why? Because this 4 is what verifies this. This 4 means that each count is worth a quarter note. And using this, so if you have a 4 in the denominator, the system we learned where a half note is 2 counts, a whole note is 4 counts, a eighth note is half a count, and a 16th note is 1/4. Don't know why I do offset 90-degree rotated 1 is a quarter count. All apply for all time signatures which have a 4 in the bottom number, which includes all the one we're going to be coming today. But in the next lesson, or perhaps not, we'll see, I'll be covering whenever you have a time signature which has maybe 2/2 or 6/8 or 12/8. These time signatures which have different numbers in the bottom, right? 2, 8, sometimes you'll have 16, right? This does not hold for that. This is no longer true. This is no longer true. So that's something to keep in mind. But whenever you have 4 in the bottom number, this remains true. Why? Because this is true. So this is 4 is telling you this is that 1 quarter note is equal to 1 count, and the rest is all based on that. This is what we've already covered, what we've already talked about. So whenever the bottom number is different, no, if it's not 4, then this is not true, and then counting it becomes its own thing, which we'll get to. But for this lesson, in fact, all of these are the same. They remain the same. So everything we've talked about with counting out these notes remains the same with 2/4 and 3/4. What is different is the number of counts that are there per bar. So without further banter, let's try to get into it. So let's take 3/4 to begin with. So when I write 3/4, let me write a simple 3/4 rhythm, and I'll show you what I mean. Actually, not sure how this will sound, but yeah. Okay, so it's a simple 3/4 rhythm, right? So now let's delve deeper. So the way I count out a 3/4 rhythm is very different from the way I count a 4/4 rhythm. So while the system where one is worth a count, a quarter note is worth 1 count, a half note is worth 2 counts, is the same for 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, and indeed any time signature which has 4 at the bottom number. The way I count it out is different. and that's because the top number is different. So instead of there being 4 beats in a bar, me counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we only 3. So I count 1, 2. I should probably join that there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and all the stuff that we learned about 4 4. About how to count it in 4 4 is the same for 3 4, except in 3 is only 3 counts per bar. So when we're dealing with just regular things, you can count it as 1, 2, 3. If we're dealing with lots of eighth notes, it's beneficial to count it as 1 and 2 and 3 and if you're dealing with lots of 16th notes, it's beneficial to count it as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and we talked about these 3 systems in the previous videos. So whenever it's quite similar to the way we were counting our 4 4 time signature, except this time there's only 3. And to give an example of music that's written in 3 4, the Game of Thrones, the opening is written in 3 4. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, or if I count it using the second system, which will be slightly beneficial in this case, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and that. See, so it's written in 3 4. It's the pulse is 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 and so on and so forth. So that's why and for 2, so when I'm writing in 2 4, if you give me a moment, when I'm writing in 2 4, then it's the same with both of these, except now I'm dealing with 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, or 1 and 2 and, or 1 E and a and 2 E and a. So same for 3 4, it's the same. For 2 4 it's the same, except in 3 4 there's 3 counts per bar, and in 2 4 there's only 2 counts per bar. Keeping that in mind. So now keeping that in mind, we've already let me just get this off the screen here. We've already learned about how to count out the notes in 4 4, and I said the system is the same. So now we're going to straight away jump to trying to count out things in 3 4. So now in 3 4 and then in 2 4. So I've written a 3 4 rhythm right here. So if you want, I encourage you to try to do it yourself, right? But it's okay if you can't, and I would first do it and I'll show you how it works. So I'll count it in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, and just because they're 8 notes at the end and it'll be easier for everyone. So okay, let's try. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 without counting this time. So that's in 3 4. Let's write one more, and this time I encourage you. Oh, sorry. This time I would encourage you to try to do it. Let's write one more. This should actually be a familiar one. I'll change it at the end though. So I encourage you to pause the video and try it out for yourself once again. So when you're counting, a quarter note's 1 count, a half note's 2 count, an eighth note is half a count, that means it's worth an and or whatever. Right, we've talked about this, we've discussed it in 4 4. It's the same for 3 4, except there's only 3 in a bar. So try to think about it, try to pause the video and ponder it, and I'm assuming you've done that, and now I will play it on the piano. So let's see. I'll use 1 and 2 and 3 and again because I don't see any 16th notes, but there are quite a few eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, sorry, flubbed up my lines there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, without me counting. So the beginning is similar to Game of Thrones. 1, yeah, the rhythm is the same, so 1 and 2 and 3 and, so yeah, Easter egg there. Anyways, let's do one more. So if this helps you, I'll actually go through this one. For those of you who weren't able to do this rhythm, I've had an idea. I can use my mouse or whatever drawing nib to show you how to do it. So the one, this is what teachers will do in class. I can't do it to you through video, but this is what I can. So if you had struggling doing this one, here's how I would help you. So it is, so because a quote note is one count, it's one and, it's a full one and, so it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So I've been told that this is quite useful for many people, so I think I'll do it from now on. Most basically do this with the finger, so it helps build an intuitive understanding. Let's do one last one for 3-4, and I've written it diagonally for some reason. However, I do hope it is still legible. Okay, this one's fairly simplistic. I encourage you to pause the video and try, and I'm assuming you've done that. Now I will play it. I'll use 1 and 2 and 3 and again because there are 8 notes here. So 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now I'll do without counting. And that's 3-4 for you. Now let's try 2-4. I think I'll include 16th notes this time. Let's try counting the others. So I've used 16th notes in this one. Once again, this 2-4 operates in much the same way that 4-4 operates, except there's only 2 per bar. So let's try this, and I'll be using 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a to count this out, because there's lots of 16th notes. Let's try 1E and 2E and 1E and 2E and 1E and 2E and 1E and 2E and. Now without me counting. Oh, it's a bit too slow. I'll play it faster. Let's do one more for 2-4. Once again, I'll use 16th notes. Not that you need to use 16th notes in 2-4. I hope I'm not giving off that that information. No, you don't need to use 16th notes in 2-4. I just writing the rhythms that are coming to mind at the moment are written in half 16th notes included. So I'm sorry. So it's gonna sound pretty weird, I'm pretty sure, but I should really get into a habit of writing this bigger. I'm so sorry if it's not legible. I'll confirm for you in that case. 16th note, quarter note, 16th notes, 16th notes, quarter note, 16th notes, quarter note, 8th notes, quarter note. I should really write this bigger. You have my deepest apologies for that. I'll get into the habit of doing it later. Regardless, I've clarified, so you feel free to pause the video, try it for yourself, and I will do it now. So once again, 1E and a 2E and a, because there are a bunch of 16th notes everywhere. So let's try. So 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E, 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Let's do that once again. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and it's quite a challenging little rhythm. So I give you a pat in the back if you're able to do it properly. Once without counting. Let's do one more. This one's this one's also going to be difficult. I think we've all come quite a bit further, so I'll include some more difficult rhythms now. If that's not clear, that's an eighth note. Again, once again, my handwriting seems to hinder your learning, but hopefully it's clear. So I encourage you to pause the video, and this one's quite challenging, so it's okay if you don't get it on a first try, but I encourage you to keep trying. Don't worry if it sounds weird, it is weird. And okay, now I'm assuming that you've given it a few goes, and I'm going to do it now. I just use 1 and 2 and 3 and because I don't see, sorry, 1 and 2 and because I don't see any 16th notes anywhere, so I don't have to use that. So let's try 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and oh, I think I used 3 and 4 and I'm so sorry. My mistake. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and I'll do slightly slower in case some of you weren't able to catch that. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and now this whole ta 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 is called well, loosely called syncopation, right? Where the emphasis is there after. It's not on the count, it's but off the count. In practice, whatever, remember, this is worth half a count, and this is what a full count. So if I've got 1, this and 2 is going to go to this quarter note, and this and is going to go to this eighth note. So a quarter note does not only have to, it may not be 2 and it may be and 2 as well, and that sounds really weird, but hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. So in fact, let me elaborate on this because rhythms can be quite tricky. So if I've got an eighth note here, this is only worth half a rhythm, right? Sorry, half a count. So it will be 1, my 1. Now if I add a quarter note here, it's worth 2 eighth notes. So I will have the next half count, which is and I'll have the other one as well, 2. This and 2, this entire thing goes to this one because half plus half makes 1, and this is 1. And of course this one's half, so you get an and. So that's how it's operating. So I'll once again, so you have 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 2 and. So since this only takes half, so the other two half, the center two, go to the quarter note. It sounds really weird. It's actually quite hard to get a hang of. Though I've linked multiple worksheets where you have a bunch of these syncopated rhythms. So it's good to get used to them and try to listen to them more often. The more you listen to them, the better you get. That's the good thing about syncopated rhythms. The more you listen to them, the more naturally you can read them. But once again, it's not these kind of rhythms do pop up every now and then, and it's 1 and 2 and that can happen quite often. So just wanted to make that increasingly clear. That being said, I think we've delved quite deep into both 3 4 and 2 4. I think we've gone quite deep. In the next lesson, I think I'll be talking about rests, or perhaps about time signatures which don't have 4 in the denominator. We'll see. But regardless, as for this lesson, I hope you learned something valuable. I hope you were able to take away something you didn't know before. And overall, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and see you in the next lesson. Bye.